we move on to react to Barcelona's win over Villarreal and mark that under Ter Stegen's injury. This was this. Let's pull up the statistics real quick. Barcelona win yet again. They're able to get past Villarreal 5-1. Um, and as they continue their perfect start to La Liga now, six wins, no dropped points, 18 points in 6 games, 6 wins, no defeat, and in doing it in so far in dominant fashion. You look at their goal differential, 17 goal differential, 17 goal differential, six games in, 22 goals scored, which is 9 more than any other team has scored so far in La Liga, and then conceding only 5 goals, which has them tied for the second best defense in La Liga. They're also tied with Getafe, who finds themselves 18th in La Liga. That's has a lot to do with the fact that they've only scored 3 goals themselves, Getafe. but yeah, Barcelona, they've been dominant, and Hansi Flick has this team playing with a new swag, a new personality to them. They go into every game thinking they are the favorites, and they play with a sense of spirit and a sense of going forward that's really refreshing. That look, I thought Barcelona had some good signs under Xavi. Don't get me wrong, but we haven't seen this level of dominance from this Barcelona team. There was good signs and some positivity, especially when you regards to the previous managers, the Ronald Koemans, the Kete Setiens. We saw some optimism from the Xavi Barcelona's team. But this is they're taking it to the next level right now, and they're doing good. And they're doing this. They just suffered another bad injury with Ter Stegen, but this is a team that's been injury riddled as well. You see the Barcelona team that played today. You look at that starting 11. You got some real top players like Lewandowski and Lamine Yamal, but you have players like Sergi Dominguez, 19-year-old center half that came up from La Masia. You have it, Inigo Martinez, an Inigo Martinez that is 33, and this is the first time him playing at this sort of level for Barcelona. With this being his second season, you have Gerard Martin, another La Masia, graduate playing left back. You have Pablo Torre, another La Masia graduate replacing Danny Olmo, who's going to be out for a little bit. Eric Garcia playing as a 6, a holding midfielder. He has, he's a center half. He came up, as a center half. He's having to mix and match and rely on youth. Hansi Flick and rely on La Masia, and he's been doing that so far in La Liga absolutely brilliantly. He didn't have a holding midfielder entering this campaign. He lost the guy in Marc Bernal that they thought could be potentially the answer there, and he's having to mix and match and rely on youth, and they're still playing some really, really good football. They're scoring goals at ease. They're doing it against good teams as well. When you see the fact that they've put up 5 past Villarreal, they put 4 against Girona. They've been really, really good, and they've been very, very impressive. As Rafinha, Lewandowski scored twice, who's playing a much better football than he played last season, and Rafinha, who never got on to so far on the on a consistent nature when he was under Xavi, now playing playing not in an unnatural position, but not his favorite position because it's locked up by Lamine Yamal, but finding himself to be dangerous coming from the left hand side, being a little bit more to his direct nature, playing with his left foot, being very direct and taking on a shot, going forward or coming centrally as well, and being danger in there as well. And yeah, they still have a 4 point lead over Real Madrid. They handed Villarreal their first La Liga loss of the season. They've been great. And again, this is a Barcelona team that doesn't have Dani Olmo, that doesn't have Xavi, that doesn't have Frenkie de Jong, that lost Marc Bernal, the answer to the holding midfielder. As we thought early on the season, they lost him, Fermin Lopez as well, who, suffered an injury playing with the U21s, Ronald Araujo, Andreas Christensen, and Villarreal, they were not horrible. They lost 5-1, and they created a few opportunities. They were pretty dangerous on counter-attack, and they actually had 3 goals disallowed this game for tight offsides decisions that were, yes, rightly, they were rightly called off with VAR, but they provided a competition for Villarreal, for Barcelona. But the way Barcelona were, just more risk taking, playing that forward ball, being more clinical, being more direct now with Hansi Flick, it's allowing them to, even though they don't, even though they're not, dominating games in terms of 99% possession like the tiki-taka way, but the way how fast they are and how electric they are and how direct they are, they're being able to score 5, 4, 7 goals, despite not having 99% possession. And not saying they can't control the games. They're still controlling the games under Hansi Flick, but they're not playing this tiki-taka way. It's different. It's very different. And they've been great. They've been really, really good. And I don't see them slowing down. And I do think the injuries will take a toll, especially when you're going up against these better teams and you don't have a natural holding midfielder, and you're relying on these youth, like going away in Europe or going away to the Bernabeu or the Calderon and taking on Madrid. Eventually, the youth and not having that holding midfielder, it's something that Hansi Flick and this Barcelona team will, struggle with. But right now they've looked very, very excellent, and it's very good signs. It's very good signs how Hansi Flick has been able to, I don't know what this Barcelona team could do this year with the injuries that they face, combination Ter Stegen potentially being out with for the season. But I'll say what, you get these players back, and you get another year of Lamine Yamal to develop, who is looking like one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world. Next year, they could be a very, very dangerous team. And I'm not writing off this year. There's 18 points in 6 games. They're perfect in La Liga so far. They'll compete for La Liga this season. They have a good chance to win it based on how they're playing right now as well. But I'm saying the future is bright for Barcelona, and Hansi Flick, not saying he was disrespected in his Germany time, but I think people forgot what he did at Bayern. He's reminding us, he's a great tactician. He has a great style of play, an efficient style of play, and he has his team to be very forward going, very attacking, very forward thinking, but he can also has his team defending really, really well, even with the makeshift, youth players being in there and players playing unnatural positions like Eric Garcia. He's making this puzzle work, and I love to see how much longer he can make this work, because I do think eventually, going up against the better teams, I do think that holding midfielder role will, and Frenkie de Jong coming back, yeah, he can fill that void. But again, that's not his best position, and that's not what he does best. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see that.